Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business psychology and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Sejal Thakkar, dubbing herself Chief Civility Officer. She is not your average employment law attorney. Her more than 15 years of experience advising clients, human resources personnel, and legal counsel regarding sound, standard employment practices uncovered a need and a personal passion for bringing more proactive, relevant, and impactful workplace training programs to her clients and teams. Highly experiential, customized workshops to executives, managers, and individual contributors bring the courtroom to the training room in an interactive, engaging environment that favors human stories over compliance checklists. Excuse me. So welcome, Sejal. Really appreciate you being here, and let me know anything I missed.
No, that was perfect. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
All right. Well, then let's jump right in. Always like starting with this question because it kind of sets the tone, sets the mood. If you had a time machine and you could go back in time in your business, professional, or personal life, would there be one thing or maybe two things that you would change? A decision, an event, something that you would change? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
Yeah. When I look back at my professional journey, I think, I went to law school and got licensed in California in 2003.
Mhm.
And then I was a defense attorney for a number of years. But I think somewhere in that journey, I realized, and this was probably maybe 3 years into it or 4 years into it, I realized this isn't the right fit. I love the law, but being a defense attorney, being a litigator wasn't the right fit for me. I'm more of a
Mhm.
conflict resolution person, more of an educator, more of a raising a trainer. And so I stayed in that litigation field for way too long. I would have probably cut the cord a little bit quicker and jumped into what
Mhm.
I'm doing today. So if I could change anything, that would probably be it.
And just to let you and the listeners know, or to remind the listeners, if you've been on this show for long, that is the most common answer.
Is it really?
That I wished I'd done it sooner. I mean, at least half the people I ask that question to,
Really?
that's it. Because in those cases anyway, in a lot of cases, is people really love what they're doing now.
Yes.
I mean, they've gone through the journey. They've done the struggle thing. They've figured out what they like, what they don't like.
Yes.
And once they figured out what they like and their passion is, and they're doing it, they think, oh, I just wish I'd done it sooner.
Yeah. It's true. It makes sense, right?
It does. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So kind of related to that, if you could go back in time again and you could identify one decision, again, business, professional, personal, if you could identify one decision that you made that turned out just super positive. I mean, it set things to where, you look back and you think of everything that happened before that and after that. It's kind of that dividing line type of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have one of those?
Absolutely. And that one's easy. That's an easier one.
Okay.
That was leaving law firm, leaving the litigation world when I had my son to work at home because I wanted to be at home with my son. So that was 8 years ago. When he was born, the minute I saw him, I'm like, I need to be at home with this kid. So I was working as senior counsel at a law firm. I gave my notice and I'm like, I'm sorry. And so I started working from home. I still had to work and worked really hard from home. But that decision was the best decision I've ever made. And I just having that time to be there at home with him and see him grow and evolve. And this last year, same thing with COVID, having that time, because I've been homeschooling him since March. Having that time with him is where I want to spend all my time. If I could spend all my time just hanging out with him and I would do it. Seriously.
Okay. So this could be related. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But again, you go back and you look at your decisions. Do you have one that it was the scariest?
Yeah, no, that's a different one.
Okay.
The scariest part, and again, is when I started my own company 3 years ago. In November of 2017, I went out on my own, and that was never in my cards. I was not planning on ever having my own business. That was never an aspiration. And in fact, I I didn't want to have my own business because my parents owned their own businesses. And so I was like, I want to study paychecks.
Yeah.
I want to study paychecks. I want my benefits paid for by somebody else and not have to pay $500 a month on my own medical insurance. Yeah, that was not my plan. But the best decision, the scariest decision, again, that I've ever made. But it was huge because I finally took a leap of faith in myself and said, this is what you want to do. You can do this, believe it, go for it. And I did it, but it was scary. And many times last year I was questioning that decision because of COVID. But I don't regret that decision at all. No.
Okay. So kind of related to that is, I mean, those are big decisions. But those are decisions that come to folks like us. I mean, solopreneurs, people that start their own business. We have to make a lot of decisions. Some of them get sticky. Some of them we don't want to make. We get stuck before them. We put them off. We procrastinate, whatever. Do you have a way that you deal with those types of decisions that you could share that might benefit others that are listening?
Yeah. An example would be last year. Prior to COVID, I did all of my training, my facilitation, and my workshops in person. So I was flying all over, traveling all over the globe, doing these trainings in person. So when now we couldn't leave our house, I didn't have that option anymore. So my business literally went away overnight, and I wasn't set up for virtual. I didn't know what I was doing. Like most people, like doing all of that virtually. And so I have always lived with this, is that I can only do what I can do. Right. So stop worrying about the outcome. Stop worrying about what the results are. What can I do today to get me closer to my goal? So really kind of coming back and laser focusing in on what I have within my control helps me get through those situations where we start to get overwhelmed, or we get that paralysis by analysis, or, we get stuck in these moments where we're fearful and scared. I got to the point where I was literally living, I'm only going to worry about what's on my calendar for tomorrow, and everything was calendared, but I'm only going to worry about that for now and just get through that. Now I can look at the day after and the day after and the day after. And literally that's what I've done my whole life. Whenever I've dealt with these kind of difficult decisions, is focus in on what I can do and then just execute.
Excellent. And the way I phrase that for myself is to be outcome independent.
Yeah.
And, like you said, you worry about what you have control over, what's in front of you. And, you can't change it if you can't control it and you don't have any control over it. So you just got to train yourself, or got to convince myself when I do it, is just be outcome independent. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go the way I want, then I'll keep going. I'll do something different.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's great. And kind of to wrap up here a little bit, because we're getting towards the end, and this gets more personal so that hopefully people can connect with you in a little bit different way than we've talked about so far, is what do you want out of your business, your life? And another way I put this is, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Because at the end of the day, there's passion. If there's not passion involved in it, then we don't really, we don't jump out of bed. We don't go for it. And you've mentioned a couple of things. Is there one or two things that really get you out of the bed in the morning that you have passion about, that you really want to do?
Yeah. It's being able to make a positive impact on those that are in my life, and in whatever way I can to this world. And that gets me out of bed every day, is what can I do? Whether it's a post that shares information, whether that's giving somebody a high five, whether that's saying hello, what can I do to bring positivity into this world? And so that's what I do with my work, with everything that I'm out there talking about. My TEDx talk that I did was really to inspire people and help people see different things, but just making a positive impact.
And just to let you know, is I hear that a lot as well. People that have gotten to the place where they get to execute and they get to work on their passion, that's what gets them up.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is helping other people. I mean, half the time I hear that, and it's wonderful. I just love it.
I love it.
So super. Really appreciate you sharing. Great having you on the show. Is there anything that you'd like to close with, that you'd like to leave the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I would just say, I think we've all kind of grown up with this golden rule mentality of, let's treat other people in the way that we want to be treated. And I would just say, if you're watching this, you're listening to this, let's shift our mindset to the platinum rule, right? Which is, let's treat others in the way that they want to be treated, right? Because we all might want to be treated differently. And the only way that you can treat other people in the way they want to be treated is to get to know people, get to know the people more closely, more meaningful ways that are in your life, and really treat them in the way that they want to be treated.
Okay. Excellent. Sejal, thank you very much again for taking time, being on the show. Thanks everybody for listening in. Have a safe and productive week, and be the very, very best at whatever it is that you're doing. Until next time, this is Tad Stevens with Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.